Welcome back to Cards and Comics. Today I want to talk about whether or not we should grow this sports card hobby 10x like everyone's been talking about. Whether or not this is actually a good idea. And this is coming from me as a longtime sports card collector, someone that's been in this hobby since 1986. And I wanted to just kind of put my thoughts out there on, not the state of the hobby, but just really this idea of, this hobby growing 10x and what that really means for us, in the hobby who really are in it to collect cards, to have something fun to do on the weekends, to make a little extra money, and to, grow a collection and have something to, talk about with friends and really do it as a hobby, right? And the hobbyist aspect of this whole this whole idea of growing just doesn't seem to be really on anyone's agenda. And so I'll go through different examples of things I'm going to talk about as far as what growing this hobby can mean, both good and bad. But let's start with this idea, of, should we grow the hobby, right? How should we do it? No one has really come out and said it's a bad idea. And I think that's because right now in the hobby, a lot of the people who have the microphone want to make a living doing this. And so what we're seeing, in my opinion, is a lot of people who have become insiders, who have become people who, whether they know it or not, have a vested interest in this hobby 10xing because that means it's financially good for them. And for people who just want to be hobbyists and who just want to collect, it doesn't really mean anything to us, really, because of all the problems associated with this hobby growing 10x. It's just that growing the hobby 10x in the current state it is such a bad idea that I can't believe that anyone is seriously thinking that this is good for them unless they think they're going to get a financial windfall out of it. So I just want to let's just take the basics, right? Well, if we grow the hobby 10x, we're not talking 10%, right? We're not talking going from today there's 1 million collectors and tomorrow there's another 100,000. No, we're talking 1 million to 10 million, 2 million to 20 million. And that means that there is going to be a lot more demand. If there's a lot more demand, then I can charge more money. I can make more product. I can do a lot more. I can have more card shows. I can have more of everything. Everything becomes more and more. But the one thing that becomes very clear in these kind of situations is nothing gets cheaper. And in a lot of cases, when supply chains are really hit with that sort of demand, let's say, we saw what happened during COVID. They go belly up and quality control suffers, the product suffers, shortages suffer. You've got people, extorting others, for product. I mean, it becomes pretty much a crap show if that does occur, right? So none of that's good. But the biggest thing to think about here is that on average, most people's salaries or their compensation goes up 3 to 4% every year. And that's pretty historic. You can go to websites like, this is PayScale. It was a firm that does this kind of research, publishes it on websites like SHRM, which is a human resources website. So these are just what most people are going to experience normally on getting more money. So if you're someone who's not in the hobby, who doesn't get boxes sent to you directly, to what, doesn't pay you money directly, your hobby becomes more expensive. Opening product becomes more expensive. Collecting becomes more expensive. And your annual salary is going to go up 3 to 4% for most people. So is that really sustainable, right? Because where is this new money going to come from? And I think the direct answer to that is it's going to come from people who want to gamble, people who want to make a short-term investment, and people flipping cards for short-term profit. not with any real plans to stay in the hobby. So that, is where a lot of the money is going to come from. We're already seeing Panini, or it's not Panini, but Fanatics, getting in bed and actually buying a sports betting company already. And they know, just like the leagues know, because, 20 years ago, the leagues were anti-betting. Now they love betting. That the money's going to come from the degenerate gamblers who already are spending billions of dollars gambling. So why not spend more money, or part of that money, gambling on sports cards? And if anyone's been on Whatnot recently, you cannot tell me that site isn't more like a casino than it is buying and selling. What a normal hobbyist would do when they go to, let's say, a card show. I mean, there's duck races, wheel spins, all kinds of mystery boxes, repacks, and all that's based on gambling. The whole repack industry has gotten so far out of control that, to me, it's just a way for people to make money as dishonest as they want to be. Basically, it's them able to print money, on their own, like without any sort of control or regulation on it. So it's not good. It's not good at all. But the first thing you got to think about is we're not going to make that much more money on average in the future if this does happen. And it won't be made up by them making more money, right? So all in all, we'll just keep losing more and more money if we keep chasing the dragon, which is box breaks, and open up new product. Now I want to go into some other things here. So here's a video that just came out from Sports Card Investor. And again, can I flip these cards for big profit? And he has his son going out using his Market Movers app again, self-promotion, making money, trying to profit off of this idea that you can make money in this hobby, big money, in this hobby flipping cards. But who is this video directed at? This video is directed at kids. It's a kid doing it. You cannot say that this video isn't for kids to show how kids can spend $1,000 and flip cards and make money. And so I was thinking about this. I have 2 kids. I cannot fathom at all giving them $1,000 to do anything. We buy them clothes, we take them places, but I would never just drop them off at a mall and say, here's $5,000, go have fun. Oh, you're going to like try to flip stuff to make money? Like, what? Like, what is going on? But we're trying to normalize this. We're trying to normalize the fact that it's normal for kids to have thousands of dollars to buy sports cards and try to flip them and make money. So, again, it's building up this idea that this is the future of the hobby. The future of the hobby is, buying and selling, flipping, short-term investments, gambling. That's what this is going to be based off of. It's not going to be on someone wanting to buy cards because they love them. They love either the player, the team, or something, with that card, or some nostalgia about it. That's way in the background. When I talk about these things, look at some of the videos out from Jeff Wilson's, own channel, and he's talking about leaders of the hobby who are breakers. That's like saying your drug dealer or your car dealer is your friend, is a leader, someone you should look up to. Dealer is not your buddy. He wants to sell you something to make money off of. Now, I've got friends who are dealers, but we go into these transactions knowing full well I'm not making money on the deal he is, right? He might, give me some money off or give me an extra discount, but it's not going to be out of his pocket, guys. It's never going to be out of his pocket. It's going to be out of his percentage of profit if he does it at all. But he's not going to go in the poorhouse just to make me have a card that I really wanted in my collection. No, he's never going to do that. And if it does happen that way, more power to you. But 90% or above dealer transactions are going to be about making money, maybe giving away cards to kids, maybe doing events as promotion, right? Marketing. They might not, but still, it's to grow the brand, grow their business, and make money in the future. So when I see these guys all just patting each other on the back, talking about how great they are with each other. It's again to grow the hobby. And what I see now is just this, the hobby getting, shorter and shorter, or smaller and smaller, with the people who are getting product and getting FaceTime or airtime, I'm going to call it, in the hobby. And it's just going to continue that direction, because eventually Fanatics and these guys are going to pick winners. They're going to say, you 5 guys, you 6 guys, you're Fanatics, you're our dudes, we're going to give you product. Upper Deck's going to pick a few dudes to be their Marvel card guys. It's going to be just those guys. And everyone else will just kind of like be on the fringe, kind of like me, doing stuff and maybe throwing some stones at them, but not very influential. I mean, I don't have much of a reach, so it doesn't matter what I say. But these guys have a lot of reach. And I'll just say this. How many times has there been a video by one of these guys talking about how expensive the product is, right? When you see an influencer, open a box of cards that basically gives them 10% of their money back, or just was a miserable experience, talk about how great it was, or just gloss over the fact that the product was incredibly expensive. Happens all the time. I see it on a lot of channels, and a few channels talk about it, but they don't really go after it. They don't really talk about, like, the fact that if they didn't get the product gifted to them, they never would have bought it in the first place. And I think that is more of what they should be talking about, versus saying like, oh, I had a lot of fun, or the cards look cool, and the art's nice, or the cards, feel great in my hands. That means nothing when you're given the cards, right? What if a guy had to spend his real hard on cash on that product? What would you be saying, right? Since you open a product that's so expensive, you assume what's in that product has got value higher than it really does. Like it's a false, equity or false pricing model, where you think that just because Victor Wembanyama is the next big deal, everyone wants his cards, you assume that card should be worth a lot more, whether or not it really is or not. It's just that, that part of our brains that make us want to think that these cards should be worth that much. Just like when you open up a flawless box and you get a game used card out of it that in every other set that's ever made, it's worth $10 to $15, but in that set it's worth $200 or $300, and it's the exact same type of card because it came out of a product that was more expensive. It doesn't matter if the card is cool or not. In fact, a lot of those cards are flawless now are just, player worn, just like you can get out of Donruss Elite. To me, I almost see people, that I talk to in the hobby a lot, I kind of call it like taking shelter. They're saying like, I'm just going to focus on my player collection, my team collection, stay out of the modern cards, only collect vintage cards. Like, get out of the way of this machine that's kind of out of control. Just, get out of this machine, get out of the way. And if I pick off a few pieces of of cards I like, designs I like, I'll do it from afar. I'm not going to be part of this machine, and I think that's going to really hurt the hobby, because you're basically making this hobby, us and them. And that's sort of what I think Fanatics really wants. They don't really want, the old school guys. They don't really want people who don't understand how cool an experience is with the player versus the collectible, being worth something 20 years from now, or being collectible at all. That's not for them. And I think they're making cards in that vein. Like, I look at that Wembanyama card, and it's as boring and dumb looking card as classic pit out in the 90s. Like, no design went into it, just ugly looking Topps Now cards, right? Just ugly. And that is what we're going to get. Design doesn't matter, quality control doesn't matter, nothing matters but the fact that, it's hot because we told you it's hot, and there was some sort of giveaway or gambling associated with it. And that's another thing now is you're seeing these, you know, bounties, and you're seeing this marketing being used to prop up sets to make people excited about base cards in these sets, right? And again, it's a marketing. Don't think it's not. That money's coming out of somebody's, marketing budget. It's not, coming out of David Adams' pocket directly. I would be shocked if they weren't given some sort of funds from Topps or someone else to make that offer. But could be wrong, but I would think that would be a really easy thing for a company like Fanatics to do, is to help market their cards by creating the opportunity for bounties. Like they're already doing it with, with those MVP buyback cards, Rookie of the Year buybacks. All this stuff is just to make the collector think there's real value in the product when there probably isn't, if it wasn't some sort of artificial way to make those products worth more. But again, it's really just now, it's that gambling, it's that, artificial, value that they're putting into the product that wouldn't exist if it was just for collectors, right? So, as I look at this thing, at the end of the day, by, why gambling, why all this stuff is bad. Because here's the thing. Why has gambling been so, looked down upon or afraid of for years? Well, there's the addiction aspect of it. But the other thing is, it brings a lot of bad players into the hobby. Right now, we have, week after week, issues in the hobby of scams, fakes, people doing things poorly in the hobby that creates problems. We just saw the card porn $1 million scam. All these scams, right? I'm going to tell you, that's the JV scams that's going on right now. If this hobby grows 10x, we're going to see professional scammers come in this place. We're going to see people who have skill sets that can fake paintings come into this hobby, right? We have not seen the beginning of the amount of scams we're going to see in this hobby if it 10x's. We're going to experience something to the like we've never witnessed. Grading companies won't help us. Our own eyeballs won't help us. It'll be something awful when some of these folks that have true skill sets that are doing things like faking money, faking paintings, faking, Gucci bags, whatever it is, decide, oh, well, let's get into sports cards because they're worth a hell of a lot more money than they used to be. And they're easy to fake. They're easy to get through authentication. They're easy. There's no regulation. There's no governmental authority watching this. We're going to take these guys to the cleaners. That's my big fear. If you keep pitting the target on the hobby, that's why I do feel like in the 2000s, even though the price of some cards were high, it really wasn't worth the effort for a lot of these guys to get into it, because only a few cards were really worth a ton of money, and it just didn't seem like something that was big enough for them to get into. I think if you make it big enough, you'll get some pretty intensive scams going on. Again, the like which we've never seen. And then, we have no protection, right? There's no regulation. No one cares in the government about this. They care maybe if you evade your taxes, and maybe care if you don't pay your auctions, for the money you made. But other than that, are they really stepping in to help? I mean, they've already done a few investigations on some, card trimmers and bad players, and only Mastros went to jail for any, time period that is really significant. And that was, again, for money issues, not really for the fraud on the cards themselves that collectors eventually got stuck with. None of that was really, part of that whole deal. So again, are we going to, keep hitting targets on our back for these, scammers? Because again, gambling is going to attract them like flies. The money is going to attract them. And I think it's going to get worse. And until we have something better, because look, I mentioned dealers before, they were never considered to be the good guy in the hobby. Now we're going to have even more, people coming in. And I just don't feel good about it. I just don't feel like we have enough protections. The card companies aren't sophisticated enough to really handle this. So, that's why I'm not excited about 10x in the hobby. And, will I turtle and just focus on my collections? Probably. Will I get out of opening Bowman and products I used to love opening? Topps Chrome, Bowman, Flawless. I've already given up Flawless. I haven't opened a single Topps Chrome pack this year. I love Cosmic Chrome last year, and it's so expensive now, I probably won't open it this year. And again, I'm opening 90s products that cost $45 and have a lot more fun. And that's sort of, I call that turtling or becoming, just getting out of the way of the machine guys. And that's really the future, I think, is a lot of people are just going to step to the side and be like, you guys have fun. I'll see you over here. I'll meet you at the National, but I'm going to be doing my own thing. You guys can have fun dealing with all of that, and I'm going to be over here. So that's my rant, guys. So that's the end of this video. I am going to talk about something a little different for people who want to stick around, about another interest of mine. And I'm going to be doing something different on my channel. And so you can close the video if you don't want to hear it. But for people who are interested, I'll talk about it right now. So I have been doing a lot of music at the end of my videos. I think Carlos talked about it in the live I had with him. So I am going to start on my black screen at the end of the videos, pitting full songs and talk about the songs I am playing from artists I like, I've met, I've talked to, in some cases I've played with, in some cases, or artists who I think deserve some attention. And I'm going to do that on the black screen at the end of the video, so you don't have to listen to any of it if you don't want to. I'll make sure I put up, when I say something about it, I'll say what genre it is. So if you don't like death metal, if you don't like, hard rock, if you don't like that kind of music, you don't have to listen to it if you don't want to. But it's to get exposure to some of these artists who I think are amazing. Again, I used to play in bands, I played music. And that's something I really want to do for my channel, and I think it'll be fun. So if you like it, that's great. And, if it inspires you to listen to some of these bands, then I've done my job. That shouldn't impact anyone and their ability to watch my videos. It's not going to be part of the actual video itself. So it'll just be tagged on at the end. And I'll talk a little bit about the song and why I chose it. And we'll go from there. So let me know if you think that's a cool idea. But I'm done now with the video for real. I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye. Alright, the first song I'm going to play for you guys that comes from a band I really love, kind of a band that started me on the more underground journey. This is Primus coming off of one of their later albums, Green Naugahyde. This is a Tragedies A Comin', and I think that's a perfect song to think about what's happening in the card market right now. So here it is. Hope you guys like it, and I'll see you next time on Cards and Comics. Bye.